American bit of Martin Chuzzlewit. What's that about? Was that just padding or what? I mean, it's rubbish, that bit.
I thought you said you were my fan.
Oh, well, if you can't take criticism.
Anybody else a fan of A Christmas Carol? Ever wanted to meet Charles Dickens? Well, you can do that now. Welcome to the review of The Unquiet Dead. Yes, that's right, everybody. Today we'll be reviewing the third episode of the first series of the rebooted series, The Unquiet Dead from 2005. Let's do it! Now, as is tradition, we will start this review with a short recap. Continuing from the second episode, the Doctor and Rose travel back in time to 1969. More specifically, Cardiff, Wales. Christmas Eve, by mistake. In Cardiff, at the local funeral parlor run by Gabriel Sneed and his servant Gwyneth, the dead are walking. The recently deceased Mrs. Peace rises from her coffin, kills her grandson, and then escapes the parlor. Meanwhile, as Rose and the Doctor wander around the city, they soon find themselves at the local theater, where famous writer Charles Dickens is performing with a reading of one of his stories. However, the show is interrupted by Mrs. Peace, who has come to watch the show as per her last request. Gabriel and Gwyneth have followed her to the theater due to Gwyneth's clairvoyant skills, and they run into Rose and the Doctor whilst trying to catch the walking corpse. In the midst of Dickens' performance, the spirit that has consumed Mrs. Peace retracts into a nearby light. Immediately after, everyone runs out of the theater screaming as Gwyneth and Gabriel carry Mrs. Peace to their horse wagon. Rose quickly follows, and whilst trying to confront Gwyneth about what happened, Gabriel pops up from behind and kidnaps her. Charles and the Doctor follow Gwyneth and Gabriel back to the funeral parlor to retract Rose. The Doctor manages to save Rose at the last minute after realizing that she's been trapped in a room with two of the corpses who try to attack her. Soon after, we learn that the funeral parlor has always been haunted and that the walking corpses are a regular occurrence. The Doctor also explains about a rift in time and space placed in Cardiff, causing creatures from other worlds to fall through. However, the creatures are trapped in the empty void between the dimensions and therefore seek human bodies as forms. The Doctor soon learns that Gwyneth is a link between the dimensions as a result of having been raised on top of the rift. After discussing the matter with Gwyneth, the team decides to throw a seance to try and communicate with the creatures. Gwyneth establishes contact with the creatures, and we find out that they are the Gaith, a once mighty species until they were destroyed in the Time War. The Doctor promises to help them vacate the void and enter human bodies in order for him to transport them to another planet where they can grow and prosper. Because of Gwyneth, it's possible to establish a permanent link between the void and the Earth without damaging the rift. They all go to the morgue, where the rift has most power. Gwyneth establishes contact with the Gaith and allows them to enter through. However, the Gaiths have lied about their intentions. They wish to invade Earth and kill all humans by entering their bodies. Upon revealing their evil intent, the Gaith kill Gabriel and attempt to attack Rose and the Doctor, pressuring them into a corner, while Dickens manages to escape. Rose and the Doctor are trapped, and moments before they're attacked, Charles returns after realizing that if they kill all the living flames in the house and turn up the gas, the Gaith will be forced to vacate the human bodies. And with Gwyneth's help, the Doctor, Rose, and Charles manages to escape while Gwyneth lights a fire and blows the parlor up, costing her her life. The Doctor and Rose parts ways with Charles as he heads towards London to be with his family for Christmas. Alright, that was a short recap of this episode. Now, let's talk about my review. And first and foremost, let's talk about the villain of the week, which in this case is the Rift, I think. The Gaiths are really a byproduct of the Rift. After establishing the idea of a rift in space and time running through Cardiff, and after being introduced to Captain Jack Harkness in episode 9 of this season, the spin-off series Torchwood is created. The first season ran on BBC 3, the second season ran on BBC 2, the third season ran on BBC 1, and the final fourth season ran on Starz in the US. Now, the series is based around an undercover team working for the government, monitoring what falls through the rift and attempting to protect the human race against alien invasion. The Torchwood Institute is introduced to us in Series 2, Episode 12, The Army of Ghosts, and was set up by Queen Victoria as a weapon against the Doctor. Now, in the Torchwood serial, Eve Miles, who portrays Gwyneth in this episode, stars as the main protagonist, Gwen Cooper, a descendant of Gwyneth. Eve Miles is just an amazing actress. She's great in Torchwood. I fucking loved her in Broadchurch, where she plays Claire. Her roles and also in the newer series Keeping Faith. Go watch that, by the way. It's an amazing series that's shot both in Welsh and in English. But she's amazing. And her breakout role was Torchwood, and that's what she's remembered from. But I feel like she is such a talented actress that she can play almost any role ever on any show, and I adore her. Now, if we're talking about this specific episode, in my opinion of it, I'll just say that my favorite scene is when Gwyneth sacrifices her life to save the world. It's such a heartfelt scene where we really see the humanity in Gwyneth, especially after we realize that she's been dead for maybe like 5 minutes at this point. But she's still forcing her humanity through to save the world. And it's It's humble, it's noble, it's really human, and that's what I love about this show. It's so alien and sci-fi, but at the same time incredibly human, and I think that's what makes us love Doctor Who. Now, my least favorite scene in this episode is actually all the scenes with the walking corpses. It's just bad CGI, terrible makeup. Doctor Who has never really had a reputation for having incredible special effects, but man, come on. I feel like even though this is in 2005, which is actually, almost 17 years ago, I feel like they could have done a better job with the makeup and the CGI for the walking corpses. I feel like they do, an amazing job with the spirits when we see those and the other special effects in this episode in general. But like when we see the scenes with the walking corpses, it looks like dummies. It looks just like humans that have gotten makeup on, which it is obviously, but like it doesn't look authentic. I'm sorry. However, let's talk a little bit about Gwyneth. Gwyneth is the human element in this episode. The Doctor is this time-traveling, weird, mysterious alien, and Rose is this pretentious, sort of stuck-up teen from London in the noughties, and Gwyneth is just human. She's sweet, she's innocent, and she exemplifies what Doctor Who is all about: humanity. The beautiful thing about Doctor Who is that throughout all the galaxies and solar systems and different planets, we meet individuals who are, bring that human element. People or creatures that have the same moral compass. It shows that we don't evolve that much from our basic core instincts. A good example of this is Ruffalo from the previous episode, The End of the World, who is just an ordinary plumber, even though she's an alien from a different planet. I think it's beautiful because it sort of shows that as humans, as living organisms, we're not that different. Race and politics and statuses and whatever aside, we're all the same. We're all just simple human beings or creatures or living organisms that try to do our best to accommodate for what we've been given in life, It's beautiful and it's absolutely essential to the show to have characters like Gwyneth on it. I don't know how I feel about Charles Dickens as a character in this episode. I liked him. I like the actor that portrays Charles Dickens in this episode. He's talented, and I like how he portrays him, and I like to think that was how Charles Dickens was in real life back in the day, but he was a little tiny bit unnecessary. And just sort of, I like the character, but he was sort of brought into the episode just for the effect of it. Let's go meet Charles Dickens, But I feel like he wasn't really that necessary, It's kind of different from, let's say, for example, Vincent and the Doctor from 2010, where Vincent Van Gogh is just such an essential character in the story. I feel like Charles Dickens is just sort of there, and it's just sort of a coincidence that this old lady was planning to go see his show before she died. So he's a part of it by accident. It didn't annoy me, but I don't know if I see the full point of it. Anyway, let's get to the rating of this episode. I really liked this one. I don't know if you can feel it, if you can sense it on me, and I'll actually give it 4.5 out of 5 TARDISes because it's near perfect. It really is. I love this one. All right, that's all I had to say about this episode, man. I fucking loved it. It's again one of those episodes, but I feel like I'm gonna say this a lot with this series. It's one of those episodes that you can watch again and again and again. So I urge you to go check it out, man. And let me know in the comments what you think. Personally, I was thrilled to see Mark Gatiss write his first episode for the show. Can we just mention that? Like Mark Gatiss? Fucking Mark Gatiss. But anyway, let me know what you think about the episode. Go write it in the comments. And thank you so much for watching. And I'll see you guys in the next episode, which is actually a 2-parter. So this should be exciting. Okay, see you next week. Bye.